everybody, Linda here, the Scrapbooking photographer. Welcome to my channel and thanks for stopping by. Today is all about flowers. It's the Hop for Layout Library. The theme for this month has been flowers, and it happens to be the last day of the month. So I'm also following along with Follow a Sketch February, which is a series of sketches that have been up all through February with scrapping reflections. This is the sketch that we're working towards, put together by Sandrine Vachon. Sorry if I've pronounced that incorrectly. And because it's about flowers, I have chosen a couple of photos from my day at Rose Sunday. You may recall, if you've seen any of my other videos, I have done a heading page for this part of the year. And this beautiful lady was all dressed up beautifully in amongst all the pink roses. So I took a photo of her with her parasol and also of this gorgeous pink rose. So I thought it would go quite nicely with that background on the sketch for today. And I'm going to use this as a backing paper with a white frame around the outside. So this paper was actually from close to my heart, but it was released through Stampin Up. So I'm going to start by cutting this zip strip off and cutting an inch off two sides of this and mounting these photos in a strip that goes across like so. So I'm changing my plan a little bit because I took 1/2 inch off 4 sides by slicing down 2 sides by 1 inch, but I wish I had made it smaller and just done 1/2 inch off 2 sides, giving me 1/4 inch all the way around. So what I think I'll do is use this as an extra layer of framing. And for those of you who are paying good attention, you'll notice that I have turned the designer paper up the other way. That is not intentional, and I turn it back the other way a little bit later on. So I haven't changed my mind about what colour I want the background to be. I've chosen the darker side of the double-sided cardstock from Stampin Up, and I think that just gives a little bit more definition to the photos, and I've trimmed it down so that it will have a little bit of the designer paper showing at each side. So when I layer the background on top of the white willow, there's 3 layers, and then you can see that I need to chop that down so we can see some of the flowers behind the pink. Then to make the little corner bit on the side, the sketch had just a corner bracket, but I am doing a little wrap, which is what we do when we have prints and exhibitions and things. So I've just used that as a guide and folded it around the side of the photo, and that fills up that corner quite nicely, which was a little empty on the photo. So then I can choose what paper's going down underneath as a little strip behind those photos. And I toy with the idea of the green, but you'll see I went for the patterned pink one. And I'm fluffing about here, and it's not until later I realise that I've got the background paper up the wrong way, which is why things don't look quite the way I expected. Silly me. But anyway, I do figure it all out the way I want it to be placed on with the strips as per the sketch. And it's when I come to stick it all together that I find that realisation. And so I'll just quickly flick it over, and then when I stick it all together, it suddenly all looks exactly the way I expected. Much more coordinated now with those pink flowers in the background with the white ones that match our photos. I'm really looking forward to seeing what other people put together for their layouts for flowers this month. So I'll link the playlist down below so that you can also get some inspiration from their layouts, and they'll all be in the file under flowers in the layout library. The layout library has a different theme every month, so check it out and see what the theme is for this month. Now that that's all stuck down, I need to do something about the title, and the sketch has a lovely shaped top to it for the title, so I'm using the Stampin Up fancy border die cuts, and I'll make it out of the same colour pink, and have the scalloped edge up the top there. I had a bit of trouble finding an alphabet that would fit in there because I really wanted to say pretty in pink. So in the end I went with this one from Close to My Heart, and it takes a couple of goes to get all the letters in there because of course there's 2 T's in pretty and a P in pretty and in pink. So I'll do them in different stages, finish up the pretty with the small block with the T, and then when I do the pink, I actually don't press it down properly the first time, but do manage to line it up to get it right the second time. And I don't think it will matter, nobody will notice, and so it's going into the album that way. And just to go around the outside, I'm using the stippled roses from Stampin Up on the bigger block, just to provide a little bit of a softening to that edge and bring some more flowers into the layout. So I'll turn the stamp around so that it can fit as best it can around those words, because obviously I don't want to stamp over the top of the words. And then also on the bottom, even though I know the bottom will be tucked underneath the photos. So once I've done that with the big stamp, I'll bring in the smaller one and just do a little bit of a fill-in where it needs a bit extra up the top there. So you'll see me turning it upside down there to get the bulk of the rose. And all those roses on that scrap paper underneath will come in handy when I'm doing other things as well. So I'll keep that piece of paper. And then I can stick the title down just on the top there, centred in that gap. And that pretty border just adds a little bit to the page, I think. As far as embellishments go, I'm using a variety of roses that I've had stored in my embellishment folder, and then I'll go through the folder of sequins and pick a couple of things out just to add a bit of a bling. So I've got a butterfly I've pulled out, and I've pulled out 2 different sorts of sequins and beads, so I'll decide what I'm going to put on. And I start with a couple of white ones, which are quite nice around the title to blend in with those flowers on the side. And then I've used some pink ones down by the journaling that I did off camera. And then 3 little ones across that banner on the bottom right. So I think that is just about done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed seeing this come together. Oh, there's my little butterfly flying up there by the flowers. That is my page for this month's subject of flowers for the Layout Library. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing that come together and enjoy everybody else's in the playlist. Happy crafting!